All right,
Whatever,
everyone.
we're live.
Boom. You know what? We're live with your boy,
DJ Triggs.
and I'm Steve Metrics, and together we are No Debate Sports here on a Sunday, and pretty crazy stuff. Craziest thing out of the gates, daylight savings, throwing us for a loop.
I agree that we don't even know what time it is. I got in the car didn't adjust. I was literally driving during daylight savings time, like switch, and
Oh
it
man,
switched, and I was like, wow, how long have I been driving? I was so confused. I stopped at a gas station and then verified the time. Yeah, so
yeah,
I'm just in a time loop. I don't know where I am.
man, that's wild. So did you like? I know I used to this happened to me a few times on shift over the last few years, and basically I just end my shift early because the next guy comes in at 6 in the morning. Like I'm done.
Oh,
Does it work that way for you as well?
well, no, because I was wrestling. So
Oh, gotcha,
like I
gotcha.
was driving away from the wrestling event, and then I was
Ah,
like, "Wait!" And I thought I should have been home already. What is going on? Because I looked
weird.
at my phone, and then I was like, how long have I been driving?" And you're tired because it's like, you know, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. So you're like,
Yeah,
"What? Where am I? Who are
yeah,
these people?" You know. But I
exactly.
stopped at a gas station and got some I haven't eaten these in a long time, some Gushers.
Oh yeah, that
I
it looks like one of those emeralds from like Sonic the Hedgehog. Is that right?
like in a gummy, yeah, and then
Yeah,
like
it's got
juices
like
come out of it.
lava on the inside.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
gotcha.
I always try to find it like if I'm getting tired, I usually try to find a candy that I can
Yep,
eat and just like shovel.
gotcha.
Um and that's when I was like, "Hey, what time is it?" And then the young lady behind the counter said it, and I just was like, "Oh." She's like, "Oh yeah, you gotta, spring forward." And I go, "Oh,
Yep,
whoops."
yep, yeah.
But watch this segue.
Oh,
Speaking
okay.
of springing forward,
Yep.
what about those Raiders?
Yeah, I to me it tells me that basically we are making the move to hand the baton off to the franchise quarterback. With a few nights ago, we acquired Geno Smith from Seattle. I could
Yep,
see also bringing in another Seahawk and probably DK Metcalf to
yep,
keep that ball rolling. And it helps too because, I mean, obviously over the last decade, whoever the quarterback has been up in Seattle has basically had good tight end play with us having Brock Bowers, probably Michael Myers, maybe not. Depends what happens in free agency, but we're definitely going to have solid tight end play. And then having a solid guy outside like a DK Metcalf, I think is definitely what they're looking for. I think it's either DK Metcalf, might even be a play at Amari Cooper. That's a free agent that some people are kind of forgetting about, who's really solid outside.
yep.
He started with us with the Raiders. It wasn't so hot. I felt like when he really went to Dallas, I really felt Amari Cooper started to grow and whatnot. And with his few years with Cleveland and last season with Buffalo, the guy looks solid. So he's a guy that might be out there. Um, but to me, it just tells me that if we're getting Geno Smith, then this is obviously the setup for getting Shadur Sanders.
Which totally makes sense. I know we talked about the money and Geno's he's not the highest paid quarterback in the league by a
Yeah.
far.
Yep.
Using that type of money really gets you keeps you open. Like lots of
Exactly.
lots of good stuff there. Obviously the Seahawk connection.
Yep.
Um, yeah, it could be a good time for Raiders fans.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah, totally. And like I kind of can tell that. I mean, like to me, when Tom Brady was kind of going through his heyday, and obviously he went up against Russell Wilson in Seattle in a Super Bowl, I think he does have some degree of respect for how Seattle kind of built their team, especially that Legion of Boom, and knowing
okay.
that you have a solid defense with an offense that can be meticulous moving down the field. Gino should be able to do that. So I'm not expecting the world from the guy, but I think this also comes back to what we're talking about with the money. just like Tom Brady being the quarterback, Tom Brady made sure to allocate so much more money to the rest of the team that's out there that you can spend that on the positions of needs for free agency. So in today's day and age, to be honest, outside of Mahomes, who typically does restructure his contract so they can make moves and acquire other players on the Chiefs, there aren't too many other quarterbacks who have been signed recently who are making those meticulous moves. And now you got a guy like Brock Purdy who's coming up, who we don't know exactly what the number is, but I think Purdy's probably going to be getting probably around maybe 48 to 50-ish million. It still feels like a lot. I mean, we know the cap has gone up to, I think it's like, 270-ish, 280, something around there. But you really want to make sure that a guy like Brock Purdy, like, you want to show it to me first, right?
Yep.
And I don't think Purdy deserves a 4 to 5 year contract that's like 50 million plus, which over the lifetime of the contract, we're talking what, $250 million. I do not think he deserves that at all. I think he deserves something along the line of kind of like what Kirk Cousins did, right? Where Kirk Cousins had those franchise tags year after year after year with Washington, goes to Minnesota. It's like, cool, you've kind of proved yourself. Let's see if it sticks. Let's give you a 2-year contract. And then after that, boom, he made big money with Minnesota. So I think that's along the lines that Purdy's going to be going down. But same thing when it comes to a guy like Geno Smith, where we can just give him like let's be honest, like what, 20 to 30, if that, and we can just build a monster of a team surrounding him.
Yeah. I was just looking at his annual cap number, or his like average cap number, 25 million.
That's perfect. You know how many teams would kill to have their quarterback really only take that? I remember like a decade ago, Drew Brees was getting 25 million. That was like top dollar, big time money way back when.
His base salary is only 14.8.
Man,
because I don't know how much of the bonus they're taking or this, that, and the other, but he ranks 19th in the league in quarterback money. So, like, and I hear like a Derek Carr, with his ties to the Raiders, he's restructuring. Stafford's getting more money. Aaron Rodgers isn't, probably going to go for that high. Like, I think he's doing the right thing, and having that low of a number. Think about it. We were talking about 40, 50 million for each other guy. I mean, for most of the guys in the league, literally, as I'm looking at it, the 15th highest paid quarterback makes 40 million. So, like, to go down to 19th and you're at 15 million, you're almost like half of what they are. And I mean, Geno Smith, he's not horrible, but he's serviceable. He does the job.
Exactly. Yep.
But now you can go and grab a $30 million T. Higgins or a $30 million DK Metcalf, or, bring in an Amari Cooper at 20, and I don't know, I can't, like a Christian Kirk at 20, and now you make up that 50 to 60 million just with those three players, and now you have a whole new offense.
Yeah, totally, man. Like, totally being able to spend that money where you want, get who you want, is powerful. I really like bringing in DK Metcalf. He's to me, he's just got that crazy archetype that really, when I think of guys off the top of my head, I'm really thinking of like Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, and like Terrell Owens. Those are the guys. Like, those are the guys that I want that can do that. They're incredibly special. So yeah, that's kind of the way that I think when we're going about it. And two, like, you got to sign pass rushers. And speaking of which, Myles Garrett just got a monstrous contract. We're talking like, I think it's a 5-year deal, 40 million per year. He is the highest paid non-quarterback out there, 120 million guaranteed. That's where you got to spend your money. And he is now the player that has received that. And the player who he just beat was my Max Crosby, who was the highest player ahead of him. So it just is what it is. and that's where he's at. But that, like, you need to make those moves, and we know too. Like, I think it was like a day or so ago that he, or sorry, not him, but Cleveland basically is completely restructuring and basically setting the stage for getting rid of Deshaun Watson.
Right.
Yeah, because Deshaun Watson just tore his Achilles, and I mean, to be honest, that's like probably the best thing he's got going for him outside of his life of the last 2 years is a torn Achilles. So
Hmm.
I just think they know their direction has to be something new that's not Deshaun Watson, not all that money. And to be honest, this was a team that was in the playoffs 2 years ago. Has a solid defense. Myles Garrett is a remarkable player. He's been phenomenal from college all the way to now. They are definitely doing the right thing, and it's good to see too for a small market. And I hate seeing Cleveland getting beat up as a city because man, they're killing it in basketball, and lately they've been pretty solid in football too. It's
Oh
Ohio's
no,
is a good sports city, man.
basketball. You hurt my feelings there. Nope, we're not talking basketball right now.
Hey, I'm just saying. I mean, it's a good since LeBron's second stint. They've maintained it, and now with Donovan Mitchell and whatnot, man. Like I give Cleveland a lot of credit for making sure that they're staying on the map.
I'll spin away in my chair right now if we keep talking Cleveland basketball.
Hey,
I will leave. I'll leave right now.
no. I'm not saying it's the greatest, but I'm just saying like I don't like seeing guys want to say like, boom, just get me out of here because it's Cleveland. Because if that
Yeah.
happens there, it can happen in other markets, and we reside in a state where that definitely happens.
Well, I hope not. Don't tell anyone that's available.
Exactly.
I'm
So,
trying to find a free agent tracker
oh man, there's totally got to be one out there.
for wide receiver. Hmm.
Yeah, looks like Bleacher Report's got one. But I feel like there's got to be like a really good like live one. I know. Also big news out in the AFC as well. Got kind of a guy that emulates a little bit of Myles Garrett. The Bills released Von Miller.
Really?
Yeah. Yes, they did. I know he had some off the field stuff that's a little bit questionable. But he did play fairly well, kind of through the end of the season into the postseason. Um, I don't know. I don't know what team he. Well, actually, to be honest, I think there is a team that definitely has a glaring weakness on defense and resides on the East Coast that a lot of players want to go to. Washington. If you're at all serviceable at all and can play defense, Washington wants you. And I even saw too. What's his name? Brown, the guy that was part of the original Legion of Boom with Seattle. He has come back for a 1-year deal with Washington, so he's got that Dan Campbell ties, and makes sense that Washington is a really good landing spot for him to return again. And I could see that being a place that maybe a guy like a Von Miller shows up to as well. Is hey, like Washington needs pieces on defense, and they clearly have a top 2 to 3 quarterback in the entire NFC.
Right. Hmm. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna go blow my nose.
Oh, that's debate. That's a lot of debate. Speaking of which, we are in March. We got daylight savings. We got seasons changing here. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on with the weather lately. But yeah, it's a little different outside, but we'll see what it's like. But yeah, that's a thing that we got going on in the NFL right now. Is we got a lot of free agents moving around. Guys are negotiating. Teams are reaching out to players. Nothing is truly official, but definitely players are getting signed. And if anyone watching has a player they want to talk about, free agent, a team that you see players going to, let us know. We can we can see what we got and make something out of that. But Myles Garrett returning to Cleveland shows that Cleveland definitely is making moves to compete in that division. I mean, this is a division that Baltimore is like the creme de la creme. They run that division straight up. They are great on defense, great on offense, and they run that division. That is who I would pick right now to flat out win that division going forward. Cincinnati, really bad at budgeting. I don't really know who their GM is. I know their owner is completely cheap. Spending all this money on Jamar Chase, they have franchise tagged T. Higgins. That is something that I'm a little bit concerned with. We'll see what that's like there. But I don't know. I think this is a team that I'm a little bit concerned with when it comes to their money and how they're operating things. And then Pittsburgh, which is all in on defense, but we know they are moving off of Russell Wilson. They are going ahead with Justin Fields. I mean, to be honest, are they truly moving off of Russell Wilson? We don't know. We'll see that. But what the word is on the street is that this is a team that does want to retool their offense around Justin Fields. Arthur Smith is a solid offensive coordinator. And speaking of retooling, showing back to the action, just like Justin Fields coming off the bench to run a quick play for the Steelers, that's your boy, DJ Triggs.
Man, my allergies are like murdering me right now, and I don't know why. I'm in a like isolated room that there's not very much going on in here. I don't know.
I don't know, but I like the setup, man. I like the cool background you got going.
That's
pretty cool.
It's not my background. Wink. Okay. We are on location somewhere.
Ooh, on location. Undisclosed, serviceable protection, top of the line. That's no debate.
I don't know if you see that back there, but there's a lot of Wonder Woman everywhere.
There's a lot of Wonder Woman everywhere. And I haven't seen the movie, but I know it does have good reviews.
I've only seen one of them, but at some point, maybe I will. But speaking of Wonder people, wide receivers, I found that list. So available free agents that could go anywhere. Obviously, we were talking about the Raiders and the Steelers and teams that need wide receiver depth and actually a number one.
Yep.
All of these guys made about 20-ish in that $20 to $30 million range or less. We got obviously Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Still wants to play on the West Coast. I think for the Raiders that may have passed. I'm not really sure, but we already talked about DK Metcalf and guys like that. Yep. What about like a Keenan Allen or a Stephon Diggs? Chris Godwin's out there. Like, you're going to get a lot of depth that you could probably like match up together. Like DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins is like in the slot, has been playing really well on top of Keenan Allen. Deontay Johnson's out there. He just lost his big deal of 18 to 19 million. So you could get him to run on the outside, maybe at like 10 million, somewhere in there.
Oh, Deontay's insane. Deontay's insane. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, like some of those guys you brought up have like legit injury concerns. Deontay just had like feuds going on with the Ravens and the Steelers. I think he was in Carolina for a hot minute, but like there are very few players who have the separation that Deontay Johnson can get.
And then you can also like throw in some like depth guys. And I'm thinking maybe like you had Nelson Aguilar was there for a little bit, a DJ Shark, Mac Hollins, who we both like Mac Hollins a lot. Yep. Zay Jones out in Arizona, just Nick Westbrook, guys like that, Rondell Moore, that don't make very much money, but they're in their late 20s, 25, or like 26, 27. They're maybe looking for a $5 to $10 million deal. You could scoop up a couple of those guys, put a number one around them, and you have yourself a whole lineup
team. Yep. Yeah, I think you can actually get some very affordable, solid wideouts, depending on the style, depending if you need a guy to be in the slot, a big guy outside. One of those names you brought up, I actually rode with in fantasy all the way through the end of the season, and he pretty much carried my team. Real solid player, actually, on a garbage football team. But Nick Westbrook-Akine is solid. Like, that guy pretty much got me a touchdown like every game at the end of the year.
Yeah. And then, like, I know the run game is pretty beat up over there. You can tag a guy, grab a guy like Raheem Mostert or Jamal Williams, Najee Harris for less than $10 million at this rate. All those guys are in their late 20s.
Sure.
Raheem Mostert's, I think, is 33 ish.
Yeah.
Um, but there's so many bodies out there. Javonte Williams might be a big get at this point. I'm not really sure why the Broncos didn't do more. He's going to be
Yeah.
25 years old. Like,
Man, Javante's solid. He doesn't have the crazy stats, but man, watch the guy play. Like he's solid, man.
yeah. And you can always bring back like Amir Abdullah and have him behind you for a couple million. Like, you could literally stack players because the Raiders have so much money. Like,
Yes.
there's a lot of openings, and it's
Yeah.
pretty exciting.
Yeah. There's so many guys out there. And I heard this brought up on Fox Sports during the week that when it comes to receivers, right? You want to get the
Mhm.
guys who can just move the sticks. Like,
Yeah,
get me first downs. Don't be just like crazy like Will Fuller who can just get you like 2 touchdowns, 170 yards catching off of like 2 catches. You want the guys that can move the sticks, the guys that get you the first downs. I think I heard like Amon-Ra St. Brown had something like almost like 70 to 80 first downs last season. Brock Bowers had like 67. So whoever
wow.
these guys are, yeah, like that's a rookie, that's a baller. It just tells you like really look at when it comes to building your wideouts and even fantasy as well. Look at the guys who execute the first downs because they're the guys who clearly are the most instrumental in operating your offense.
Yeah.
They are.
And there's a lot of guys out there too. If you don't want to spend a lot of money, but you want to get a young guy like an Elijah Moore, what's the guy's name? Like Rondell Moore is out there. Uh, some of these younger guys who they're gonna look for maybe you know 5 to 8 million maybe because they were
Right.
only making a couple million already because of their rookie contracts. Josh Palmer could really go through the roof. Former Charger, like he's only 25 years old. You could build
Yeah.
around a guy like that.
Yeah, he's a
Um,
solid player.
yeah, and then remember veterans like Sterling Shepard, Allen Robinson, Juju Smith Schuster's out there. Like, there's a lot of dudes that you can literally just be like, I'm gonna go with that guy. Let me give
Yep.
him a little bit of money. Now we got ourselves a stacked wide receiver room.
Yeah, I think this is where teams not only are they going to be willing to spend, but they want to make sure too that the guys can make it. Because to me, if there's such a plethora and an oversaturation of guys that are out there in the free agent market, it tells me that there's going to be a good amount of rookies coming in.
Yep,
And not only
yep,
that, there's just a solid movement of youth that's going on. I mean, it's crazy to believe how long that like Juju Smith-Schuster has actually been in the league. And I remember hearing about him being the hot thing coming out of Southern Cal, just killing it in OTAs with Steelers training camp. It just shows you how quickly times can change. And now the guy's been on 3 different football teams.
yeah,
So it tells me too, and like we've seen pretty much draft after draft after draft has landed really solid wideouts, and we'll see how that happens this draft. To be honest, I'm not too familiar with all the wideouts coming in. I've seen some of the plays of the guys at like the combine. There wasn't really any wideout that really caught me uh, kind of by surprise, like some of the ones like Malik Neighbors and Romeo Dobbs did last year. I thought those guys were awesome. But I'm not really seeing anything too quick now. So it might be a thing where like those free agents, because the rookies might not be too awesome coming out of college, can definitely make an impact.
Now, what if I tell you Juju Smith Schuster's only 28 years old?
That is much better than what I thought, because I thought based on off of him basically going to the graveyard of the Patriots, I thought he was in his low 30s.
Me
So the
too.
fact that he's still 28, like I like that.
It seems like he's been around for a while. Like
Yes.
like you said, oh, yeah, I remember the big like hoopla about him coming in. And
Yeah.
now one of the things I do like to look at is the next year of free agents, right? Because
Ooh.
those are those 1 year deal guys or guys that have been franchise tagged that
Yeah.
could be moved, like
Right.
a T. Higgins or a Metcalf, who we've already talked about. But what about Cortland Sutton, a Christian Kirk, Tutu Atwell? He's 26
Okay.
years old, making about 10 million. Maybe the
Yeah.
Raiders or the Rams are looking like, hey, we're looking at trying to offload him so we can move some money here and there because we just picked up Stafford for a big money day payday.
Yep.
A guy like Adam Thielen, who has been lighting it
Oh,
up in Carolina,
yeah. Thielen is solid.
yeah. Uh, and maybe the Lions are looking to just offload some money because they may not be able to re-sign Khalif Raymond. That's a solid
Yeah.
slot guy for you, a speedster.
Totally.
Uh, I know this isn't going to be a big name, but what if you go and you talk to the Green Bay Packers about Christian Watson? He's
Yeah.
often injured,
Yep.
but the Packers are looking to kind of
Move.
like move around some of those wide receivers that they've had so they can go out and get a number one. Maybe
Yeah.
you talk to the Giants and you pick up Wandell Robinson. Like,
Yeah. Wandell is solid.
yeah, there's a lot of guys like George Pickens, Alec Pierce, Sky Moore, Jalen Tolbert. Like, there's a lot of guys um in that weird like mix of are they the next guy, or should we let their contract run out and maybe pick them up for a low? Well, maybe you're another team where a guy or a GM just looks at you and goes, hey, you know what? Let's see if I can get Alec Pierce off of the Colts. No one pays attention to him, but us fantasy guys go, "Oh, Alec Pierce is a dude."
That's a guy. That's a
And
guy that when I'm looking at my lineup or the opposing lineup and I see Alec Pierce, he's one of those guys like a George Kittle where I'm like, just gotta like he might take the top off of someone.
yeah, and like you can get those guys for maybe a fourth or a fifth round pick because they haven't gotten to their ceiling, but their contracts kind of on the are we going to give them that 5th year option? Are we
Right.
going to re-sign them? Especially like for Green Bay, we don't know what Christian Watson is. Some days
Yeah,
he's
he's
like
gotta
the
go.
man, and
Yeah.
other days he's injured, and then other days he doesn't show up. And we've got Bo Melton,
Yeah.
Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed. We're looking to get a number one.
Yep.
Maybe he's available. If you come out
Yeah.
and go, hey, we'll give you a third or a fourth, maybe a fifth, because we just
Oh, it's
saw
gotta
what
be a
Debo
5.
Samuel went for. Like,
Yeah.
anybody's gettable. Here's
Yep.
a big name. I feel like some people might not be, paying attention to. KJ Hamler, 26 years old, makes $1 million.
From the Broncos, correct?
No, Buffalo.
Buffalo. Has he always been in Buffalo? Because I swear that was a Bronco at some
He
point.
he he might have been, but I thought he
Okay.
got drafted by Buffalo. I could be
Uh,
wrong though.
okay. Because
Um,
to me lately, these Bronco receivers have been pretty solid.
he was a second round pick out of Penn State. Yep, Buffalo. That's it.
Oh, all right. Well, that's no debate.
Oh no, you're right. He was a rookie.
Oh, it was
Look at that.
debate.
Look at
Yes.
that. There is some debate.
Yes.
He
Nice.
was drafted by the Broncos after his rookie deal. He
Yep.
signed a $1 million deal in Buffalo. So it's
Nice.
like that guy's making no money,
Sure.
and he's better than $1 million. Let's
Yeah,
put
he
it that way.
is. Yeah, totally,
Um,
man. Totally.
like I'm looking at some of these, and I don't mean to be like a jerk about it, but like these bottom tier payment guys, and you can get a Jalen Naylor. He's making less than $1 million.
Yeah,
Go
he had
send
some
a fifth.
solid games last year.
Yeah, and Calvin Austin, maybe you put that guy as your third receiver on the. I mean, you could do a lot worse than a Calvin Austin as your number 3, you know.
Right. Yeah, he had
But
some nice games with Russell Wilson, man.
yeah, we're not all looking at the Debo. I mean, look exactly Debo Samuel, perfect example.
Yeah.
1-year deal, making $23 million. Washington goes, hey, we know you don't really want the guy. Here's a pick. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I really, really think at the end of the day, San Francisco is doing the right thing, moving off of Debo and Brandon Ayuk. These guys are way too expensive. They're not going to kill it for you. They've kind of passed the torch of being like the guy. Brandon Ayuk's only been good because there's never been a true number 1. It's been George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk for every now and then, and Christian McCaffrey is spearheading the offense. That's it. If there was Devontae Adams, Brandon Ayuk is Jacoby Myers. And whatever money Jacoby Myers makes, that's what Brandon Ayuk should make.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, so, that's no debate.
That's no debate, man. So, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like all that stuff going on with San Francisco is real negative stuff going on. And now, like, you brought up so many solid wideouts that maybe they take a little bit of a hit on a little bit of money of moving off these guys, but to bring in the guys that they want, where they know that now Brock Purdy has more time under his belt and can really make plays and land one of these number 1 receivers and land maybe one of these guys like a Nick Westbrook-Akine and make something happen. And plus, this is a team that they're kind of on the aging spectrum of getting more guys in. I think the 49ers can start making some moves, not just wideouts, but other positions as well. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, the problem is the 49ers only have like $30 million in cap.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That feels like absolutely nothing compared to what my team has.
I was going to say, yeah, the Raiders are at 51. Even the Packers, a team that never spends anything, they're at 43. Yeah.
Yeah. I think like, I know I saw something about the teams up there, man, but based on like, we know Green Bay is going to be moving off of these wideouts. I think they move off of Watson. I think they move off of Dobbs. I think bringing in a guy, to be honest, I think Devontae Adams comes back, man. I really do. I think it makes the most sense for him. Green Bay's got the money to do it. He wants something to happen like that where he's in a good position to win and also finish a cool storybook career. I think Green Bay makes the most sense for Devontae Adams. Unhitch your trailer from guys that you're comfortable with at quarterback and just really bet on yourself. And Devontae can do that. And Green Bay is a solid franchise, man.
Yeah. I'm not going to argue with you there.
Yeah, that's no debate on that, man. I really think like Green Bay's had some nice dink and doink receivers, some guys with straight up speed is what they're playing with, but like you don't have the size, and Dobbs kind of brings that, but he's a little beat up as well. I think you got to see, okay, cool, it's tryout season. Like you've had 5 wideouts, which teams normally can't even say anything close to that, but you've had legit 5. Obviously, 2 of those are probably not going to stand the test of time. Watson and Dobbs, to me, are those 2. So now you bring in Devontae Adams and you roll with the other guys you got and make something out of it.
Yeah, that's why I was really hoping for DK Metcalf. I know there's been conversations, but then all of a sudden, the GM in Seattle just goes, "Oh yeah, we haven't talked to anyone. What are you talking about?" Like,
sure.
And then it comes out as Debo wants to be traded, and I'm like, well, that was the most unlikely scenario. Wink,
right?
Wink.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. This DK stuff, and I never really found the truth of him going to Green Bay. Plus, too, I mean, like there is a little bit of maturity stuff going on with DK that teams don't want to deal with that drama. Green Bay is already dealing with drama with Jair Alexander. I think they want to bring in a guy who's grounded, stable, good head on his shoulders, and that's straight up Devontae Adams.
Yeah. So I don't know if you just seen this, but apparently, from the rap sheet, Darnold is not expected to re-sign with Minnesota.
Oh, that's new. That's interesting. So I thought that there was So I knew they didn't want to franchise tag him. That led me to believe that they were going to try to do like a 2-year deal. So then yeah, go ahead.
Darnold is not expected to return to the Vikings, who are now focused on other quarterback options they've been pursuing in the recent weeks. NFL Network insiders Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero, I'm really bad at these names, and
Yeah, it's
Mike
close.
Garofalo reported
Yep.
Saturday per sources.
Then to me, that basically puts up the flags that I think then that might be Aaron Rodgers.
It does say JJ McCarthy is expected to be cleared. They re-signed Daniel Jones, and Aaron Rodgers
Oh,
remains the dark horse.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's a cool thing too, is having Daniel Jones up there actually feels pretty good. And I mean, man, like the Giants stink. Like they are just a bad football team, poorly managed. Brian Dable is a good offensive play caller, so like you can see it. They stink, but like the games are fun to watch. But having Daniel Jones in Minnesota, like now you have that straight up serviceable guy who can play. So that makes it good, but I do think the dark horse in this is I think you got Aaron Rodgers lurking around, because I just don't
Yeah,
see Aaron Rodgers going to either Tennessee or the Giants. Like those teams, man, like the Giants can't win. The Tennessee has a weird shot of possibly getting there, but Minnesota can straight up win. That team is built.
yeah. Uh,
Any word on Aaron Jones as well? Because we thought he would be a free agent out there that people would be sought after.
yeah. I haven't seen anything, and now I'm kind of confused because uh,
Yeah,
these quarterback spots are maybe drying up a little bit because
they
okay,
are.
so Cleveland they're basically moving on from Deshaun Watson, right?
Yep, they're getting someone.
They're they're than likely going for Cam Ward.
Yeah,
Cool. Anthony Richardson is out there in Indy, but they may want to get a guy.
Richardson sucks.
Yep, I agree.
Sorry.
Joe Flacco's the man.
Yeah, he is.
Uh,
That's the guy who
Vegas,
wants Alec Pierce.
yeah, Vegas has got their guy now.
Yep,
They're off the board.
yep.
Nobody wants to go to the Giants or the Jets. The
There
Steelers,
is there's someone out there though I think that might end up on one of those two teams, but he's not a guy that people even think about.
okay. The
Yeah,
Steelers, they're
Fields.
kind of okay. We got Fields.
Yeah.
We're fine. Maybe bring in a
Well, they're
vet.
going to draft someone. You know who I could see end up seeing or getting drafted to Pittsburgh and fits it like a very similar style to Justin Fields? Quinn Ewers.
Oh,
Oh yeah. Oh, and to me, like I'll tell you this straight up, Quinn Ewers. I got him as like basically like top 3, top 4 quarterbacks. I don't know who all these guys are, like Shadur and Cam Ward. Like we know them, but then after that, I got to go Quinn Ewers and Jaden Milrow. Those are like the 4
yeah.
guys that if I'm looking for a quarterback, those are the 4 guys. I've heard some other names, but like, dude, these other guys, like who the heck is Jackson Dart? There's some Oregon quarterback that's not Bo Nix and not Justin Herbert. Like, nah, not happening, man.
Yeah.
And then like there's some other like backup quarterbacks essentially that we're talking about who have been backups for guys like Jaden Daniels and whatnot. Like you don't want backup college quarterbacks.
No, no. And
Yeah.
so I'm sitting here thinking about it like, okay, there's maybe like 5 or 6 teams. We got Darnold, we got Russ, possibly.
Russell
Uh,
Wilson's going to show up on one of these teams. And
yeah, Aaron
he's
Rodgers is
still
going to
getting
be there.
paid by Denver, right?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. Let's
Yeah.
check.
I swear that Denver contract was a 2-year contract.
That would be fun.
Yeah. So he could still show up. I mean, like he played on Pittsburgh for like what, $1 million or $2 million last
Yeah,
year.
his contract's pretty insane.
Yeah. So like it's pretty cool getting paid by another team and playing on another team. It is. It is like I've had no gripes. I know people want to gripe about Russell Wilson and how he played. Like, dude, like the guy did what he he could with what he had around him, and he got to play pretty much pro bono for Pittsburgh. Like
Yeah,
that's
like
not a bad situation.
right. And like I was wondering why more teams didn't go after him because I'm just like, you're making money. Like
Well, so this is where the tinfoil hat conspiracy theory comes into play. We have to make this tinfoil hat one of these days.
we
Um,
do.
we do. I think this is where the dominoes fall, and obviously the first domino to fall was Matt Stafford, right?
Okay.
And then that kind of opens up the pool, and Pete Carroll wants to bring in his guy Geno Smith, so that makes sense. Also, that tells us that Seattle is open. Who the heck is up in Seattle then? Oh, what's his name? Sam Howell. Sam Howell is in Seattle now.
Okay.
So that's not a bad situation actually. But that tells us too that there's other openings. I think the next domino to fall is probably Aaron Rodgers. And this Minnesota thing to me is real spooky. I think it's Minnesota. That's where this stuff is getting real weird.
Hmm. That
Because
okay.
for Sam Darnold to just all of a sudden vanish, that is really weird. Because to me, I thought this was kind of going down the Kirk Cousins line of, hey, let's give you a 2-year deal, maybe big money for year one. Maybe we can kind of move off you year two if we think McCarthy is ready. But now all of a sudden, Aaron Rodgers is just there for the taking, and someone's going to want him for someone that can develop. I think the market is Minnesota, and to be honest, Tennessee. I think Aaron wants to get out of New York. Like the Giants, not happening.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at this Russell Wilson thing. I think he's gonna make 32 million
Do you think he
next
would?
year.
Do you think he would actually literally just basically bounce ship and find his way back to Seattle?
Why not?
Yeah,
I
I think it
mean,
makes sense. Him and Sam
at this
Howell.
point, he's basically playing for fun.
Yeah,
Like
totally. Yeah,
that's
he's still getting paid by Denver. I
yeah.
swear that was a 2-year. It was a 2-year deal that they moved off of, and basically Denver decided to take the hit for like 84 million for 2 years. I'm pretty sure that's what it was about that.
It was 39 in last year, and I think it's
Yep.
32 this year.
Okay, so it's 70 to 80 million. It's
Yeah,
pretty intense.
which is nuts. Like,
Yeah. Thankfully they got Bo Nix.
oh my gosh. Right.
Yeah. They're
Um,
basically paying Bo Nix 30 million for last season and now 32 million for this season.
I just oh man. Like
That contract
what
is
was
whack, man.
what was the point to that? Like
Ego. Like Sean Payton, good guy, like good play caller and whatnot, but off the field, obviously really rigid is what that tells me. I mean, I could kind of feel it when I'd see him on TV every now and then. Heck of a play caller, but is he rigid off the field? Definitely, man. Definitely.
see, now I'm seeing another report that it'll be 85 million over 2 years. So hmm.
Oh, so it was like, yeah, it was kind of, to me, I always thought it was around 80-ish million for Russell Wilson that Denver was like, yeah, let's just take that dead cap money hit.
So where are they getting this 37 and 32 from?
Yeah.
Maybe they
For
made
me,
a
like Over
deal?
the Cap is probably the best website for tracking player contracts.
Yeah, I'm usually an over the cap guy too, but the report was from ESPN, so I
Yeah.
assume they would like break it down the right way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because like to me, um, it is very bizarre that Russell Wilson has less market than Aaron Rodgers.
Especially when he's free.
Yep, he's free. So that's a big thing that you got to play into this. And play style, like definitely to be honest, I really think that the last year in Denver to me was better than this year in Pittsburgh. So that kind of plays into it a little bit. But man, the
Okay.
free factor, if you have a free factor and a young quarterback, I think he could do a lot of good for a guy like Sam Howell. And I
Yeah.
know Drew Lock got sent out to New York. I'll be honest, I've never been a Drew Lock guy. I never liked him in Missouri. I never liked the fact that people thought he was the next coming of Drew Brees basically into the NFL. I never thought that. To me, he kind of always had like maybe like a Bo Nix swagger, but not the Bo Nix stats and ability. So, like, man, Aaron, get out of New York, go somewhere else. And I think that allows a guy like a Russell Wilson to like show up probably back in Seattle.
Okay. Tinfoil hat, right?
Tinfoil hat, man. Tinfoil hat. But it's got to be like a flat brim baseball cap tinfoil hat. That's what it's got.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Because then you got guys like Sam Darnold, who, to be honest, Sam Darnold should be more sought after than both those guys.
Right. Okay. Okay. Follow me here.
Okay.
Does a team like Cleveland,
Yes.
who's going to have to pay Deshaun Watson, go and get Russell Wilson for the free 99?
Exactly. And not only that, that is a team that is still invested and still believes that Dorian Thompson-Robinson should be the guy. And he should be the guy. Even more tinfoil. Okay, check out this deal. So Dorian Thompson-Robinson is in the NFL. Who is a former play caller of Dorian Thompson-Robinson who is in the NFL? Chip Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
Chip Kelly. What if now you have a weird 1-for-1 swap of my Raiders take Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Aiden O'Connell goes to Cleveland, and then you land a quarterback like a Russell Wilson. I think Joe Flacco back in Cleveland makes a ton of sense too. I'm shocked this doesn't happen, but maybe it does. But if you had Joe Flacco and Aiden O'Connell, that could be something building for the future. But obviously you got to bring in a third quarterback to make that happen. But man, if the Raiders could get Geno Smith, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Shedeur Sanders, that's some craziness right there.
Okay. All right. Because they still have weapons. Like Jerry Judy's over there.
Yeah,
Jerome
Cleveland's got
Ford's
guys.
over there.
Yep.
Cedric Tillman.
They got that tight end from Miami, David Njoku.
Like,
they got guys. They really got guys.
Are they a quarterback away from being good?
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, that team probably should be a top 2 team in that division. Like the way they took a step back last season was shocking. And moving off of Joe Flacco to me was shocking. Like, I don't get why you just rip the Band-Aid off of your actual quarterback who's playing on the field and tell him to go kick rocks and send him out of town. And especially after he goes on that magical run. Like, it just made no sense to me why they did that, because you're right. They have pieces. They have a good defense. They have a good defensive coordinator. Stefanski 2 years ago was NFL Coach of the Year because he went through 5 quarterbacks and won with all of them.
Like, they might have built the team the way every team. Like, I'm looking at their cap right now.
Yep.
Now, yeah, they're not going to have a lot of cap space, especially if they give for it. Yeah. So think about it this way. They have an elite pass rusher.
Yep.
They have a pretty elite core of corners with Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome, right?
Yep.
They're top 10 in cap, right tackle, guard, center.
That's how you build a team.
Then they have Jerry Jeudy. They have David Njoku. They have a defensive lineman in Dalvin Tomlinson. Like, Deshaun Watson makes the most money on the team. But like,
they're figuring out ways to get rid of him. They're figuring out ways to unload that money.
If you bring in a Russell Wilson or an Aaron Rodgers, or
Aaron's been linked to Cleveland as well in a weird way.
And now you go and get Travis Hunter. And you put him at wide receiver and corner. Now he can play nickel corner.
Yes.
And he's the number 2 receiver to Jerry Jeudy. Or 3.
Or 3. Yeah, I like Newsome, that new wideout that was like a rookie last year. I like that guy. Like, I do like man, that team is sneaky, sneaky good, because then why all of a sudden does Myles Garrett to just change his flag from
Yeah,
get me out of here to be like, oh, I'll resign? Well, then that
yeah.
tells you they got a team. And
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm the only one saying this as far as I know. I think the worst team in this division moving to next season, flat out, will be the Cincinnati Bengals. I think that team is so strapped for cash. And if any of their pieces between T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, if any of those three go down and it's the NFL, they play like 20 football games per season, that's going to happen. They lose one of those three, they're done.
Like,
Like done. And they don't even have a defense. They don't even have Trey Hendrickson. And I still stick to my guns. I think Mike Gesicki is going to be a Kansas City Chief next year. I think Gesicki is going to be basically going out there in 12 personnel with Travis Kelce, and they know they can rely on Mike Gesicki
ooh,
more than Travis Kelce. I guarantee that's going to
that's
happen.
solid.
I
That's
guarantee
solid
that's
too.
happening, because the,
Like,
the the only plays I thought were going on was I thought Myles Garrett would maybe show up on the Chiefs, but I definitely think Mike Gesicki is showing up on the Chiefs. If there's a team who's like, we'll pay whatever amount of money to land whatever tight end we need, Mike Gesicki is the guy, man. Like that guy is awesome.
huh. I,
Yep.
I think I'm selling myself on the Cleveland Browns right
Yes.
now.
And to be honest, like, okay, cool, for that second place in the AFC North. Basically, they got to make sure that they're better than Pittsburgh. They do that, they're in the mix for a playoff spot. Fun fact: I've been playing was it 2025 NFL Retro Bowl, which is basically 2025 Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah.
And weird thing, I kid you not, I've played them for the 2025 season, and now I'm playing against them for the 2026 season, and I barely beat them. Cleveland, for whatever reason, is one of like the better teams in the AFC for this 2026 fictitious fantasy season. Like I know it's a video game, but it does kind of seem a little odd that now I've seen in the 2025 Retro Bowl and the 2026 Retro Bowl, Cleveland's been kind of a good team. And it makes me think that, like, I was just super shocked that they were so bad last season. I could not believe
Yeah.
it. Because 2 years ago, that was a team really on the rise without Deshaun Watson. I think Cleveland is really interesting looking team, and I know they can go toe to toe with teams in the AFC East, depending how many teams they got to play out in that division. The AFC South doesn't have too many good teams. I mean, I know of people who are actually saying Tennessee can win that division, and that's a
Um,
shocker. And like honestly, it's the West. It's the West and the AFC North are the two like juggernaut divisions in that conference. So if you can basically tread water in the top two of either of those divisions, you should be a playoff team.
uh, I'm sorry to give you some sort of breaking news.
Uh-oh.
Mike Gesicki has re-signed with the Bengals.
Weird.
3 years, 25 million.
Okay, so that's interesting. That's crazy. We got all this crazy breaking news. Should this be happening tomorrow? Isn't tomorrow like free agent day? But whatever. Let's debate.
I don't know if they're supposed to be putting this stuff out, but it is on ESPN,
Oh,
so
okay. It's
it's
legit.
definitely yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that tells you they've re-signed Gesicki. T. Higgins is on the franchise tag, and they're about to unload big money for Jamar Chase. They're ready to roll. I mean, they are going to re-sign all their guys on offense then.
yeah, there's quite a few little. So Hollywood Browns going back to Kansas City.
Yep.
Zach Ertz is with the
Washington.
Commanders. Yep,
Yep.
running it back.
Yep.
The Ravens are getting Ronnie Stanley back.
Who's
I
that? I'm not too familiar with that name.
believe he's an offensive lineman.
Okay, that makes
It
sense.
says he's the top tier free agent. He's a left tackle.
Oh, yes, yeah. Yeah. And Ravens offensive line is like great. Like you got to do that.
This is the only quarterback on the New York Giants as of right now is Tommy DeVito.
It's Tom. So did they unload Drew Lock?
Apparently, or his contract just ran out.
Oh, whatever.
He re-signed for the minimum salary of a player with his experience, $1.03 million, and
And
there's
this is
no guaranteed money.
whoa. Yeah, and that's a guy who wanted to like stick it to like a local Italian pizza parlor for like a signing day. Like, come on, man.
Look at that. Number 2, Drew Lock is set to become a free agent.
Yeah. And that tells you that guys like that are done. Like guys like him, Gardner Minshew, Desmond Ritter, like you're done.
Is there anything else I'm missing here? Because some of the stuff I was not aware of.
Yeah. I mean, there's
Wait a
some
minute.
big name quarterbacks out there that are going to start hitting.
I named a player earlier. The Texans have acquired Christian Kirk.
Yeah. I thought I heard something about Kirk on a team, and the Texans make sense. Kirk is going to be in the slot. That is like a killer slot guy for CJ Stroud. I don't know if Tank Dell is going to be like ready to go for the season. But man, like you got Christian Kirk, Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz is a solid tight end. Joe Mixon is solid. Yeah. And
Tank
Houston's really
Dell
figuring.
and Stephon Diggs.
We don't know if Diggs is going to return.
I mean, but still, like,
Yeah.
how many wide receivers do you need?
Yeah. I mean, Diggs would probably have a better shot of coming back because his market is really going downhill quick.
And this is new to me. Evan Ingram, Joey Bosa, and Devontae Adams were all officially released.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
The Ingram one is interesting because, well, to me, we thought that would happen because the backup tight end actually played pretty well. And I like for fantasy, like the guy even showed up. So yeah, I think Ingram is a guy that, boy, maybe with Gesicki resigning, maybe Evan Ingram is a guy who shows up in Kansas City.
Wow, there's some stuff happening here. New Orleans restructured Carr and opened up $31 million.
Well,
I
that
don't
just showed
really
up.
think that helps, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's wild.
There's some stuff happening. Like,
As we
all right,
speak.
like,
Man, that's wild.
I'm in rabbit hole. We are looking live, as they say.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
scrolling, and there's so many things happening.
Yep. Yeah, the Christian Kirk deal, I like. I like seeing him show up in the Texans.
That's no debate.
That's no
Is
debate,
that
man.
is that how we end the show? We just start talking about random dudes just doing dude stuff?
Yeah, I think so, man. I think we got random guys just kind of showing up all over the place. I do like seeing Zach Ertz returning to Washington. Got to make sure you got solid tight end play there. Plus, you get that second year development of I don't know the guy's name, but he's basically the number 2 tight end from the draft behind Brock Bowers from Penn
Okay.
State.
Ooh.
So yeah, like they drafted a really solid tight end, to be honest. He just didn't really do too much last season. Definitely learned the ropes. Zach Ertz is a solid guy, but that tight end they drafted from Penn State, they do believe in, and I mean,
Oh, I
yeah,
thought Ben Sinnott was the
Sinat,
backup.
that's
No,
the guy. Penn
he is
State.
from Kansas State.
He's from Kansas State.
Yeah,
Weird. Oh, I
I
guess I'm
know.
mixing him up with a different player.
And I was thinking the same thing, and I'm like, where is that guy from? I just seen it
Yeah.
on I just pulled up his profile. Maybe they
Okay.
have another guy.
Yeah, that's weird.
Uh,
Maybe I'm because I swear there was a Penn State tight end that was regarded almost up there as highly as Brock Bowers.
now you're gonna make me go look for tight ends.
Nice. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm shocked that a team like Kansas City is not broken news with we're signing this tight end and we are going to make make things happen with this guy. That's why I really think an Evan Ingram is maybe the one they want. They have to go someone besides Travis Kelce, because Kelce is not getting you a dozen touchdowns like he did when he was actually like good.
Yeah, that's true. You never. I don't know. I'm very puzzled. Maybe they know something that we don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just live here, right?
Yeah. Hey, Kansas City, man, like they know how to draft, they know how to build a team, they know how to make things happen.
Theo Johnson, the New York Giants tight end. You
Oh,
remember?
that's the guy that I never knew about. But
I
people would
picked
talk
him
that the
up
Giants tight end is good.
in our league. I picked him up.
And was he good?
He was okay. Like, you remember? I was playing like 12 personnel a lot because I think I had Gesicki for a while, and then I picked up someone else, and then
I got Gesicki.
Did I make a trade? Maybe I don't remember, but yeah, Theo Johnson was doing stuff.
Yeah. So did you land Brock Bowers, or were you a team that dealt Brock Bowers? Because I thought there was something that happened with Brock Bowers in our league.
I think I was the one that got him.
Oh, nice. So that's your 12 personnel. Yeah, so you're working with both Bowers and Theo Johnson. Both.
That's what it was.
That's cool.
I had Theo Johnson, and then I was like, oh, someone was like, hey, I'll give you Brock Bowers. And I was like, oh, I'm in. Why not?
Yep. No, that's cool, man. That is pretty cool.
I wonder what his stats look like. He had 300 yards and a touchdown, but most of that was at the end of the season.
Yeah.
He became a dude.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, man. We'll see how it plays out, but another year, another season, and hopefully they get somebody to play quarterback for that team.
At this point, Russell Wilson being free might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, and there's always been talk that Russell Wilson does want to be a New York football quarterback, so that way he can just kind of maneuver his way back into media.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the talk I've heard from back in the day.
Solid.
Yeah, so
that's no debate.
That's no debate. That's your boy,
DJ Triggs.
And I'm Steve Metrics, and together, that's no debate.